We are going live now, YouTube.
Adi,
Yes, sir.
shall we start? Father is
Yeah,
there or not?
yeah, everyone is there, and the meeting is live now.
Okay, I'm starting now.
Just a second.
Yeah, I'm ready, Aditya.
All right, sir. Anand, sir, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, all
yes.
right, all right. Ajay, sir, you may start now.
Okay. Yeah, good evening, everyone. This is Ajay, the Director of National Services Scheme of St. Xavier College of Management and Technology, Patna. Welcome each one of you in this World of Webinar 360. Today, our world will revolve around the memory, the power of our memory, how we can use our memory to achieve success in our life, how we can use our memory to combat to this COVID-19 pandemic. To throw light on this, we have a resource person who has a vast experience of handling the memories problems, and he has done a lot of research. So now I invite the principal of St. Xavier's College of Management and Technology, Patna, to welcome him as well as to welcome all of you. Right, Father? Father, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm here.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ajay ji. Dear resource person of today's webinar on Memory 360, Rotarian Anand Kasibhatla, Mr. Ajay Kumar, the Director of NSS, dear staff and students of St. Xavier's College of Management and Technology, and other participants. Good evening and namaste. I'm extremely happy to welcome each one of you on behalf of the management of the college to this webinar. The topic of the webinar is on memory power, memorizing, etc., which is a very relevant topic in everyone's life. Be it competitive exams like UPSC, CAT, XAT, or entrance exams like NEET or JEE, or any other examinations of CBSE, ICSE, and university examinations, memory power is a very crucial component in scoring high marks. In any profession, as a teacher, a professor, a businessman or woman, or any role we play as father, mother, in any walk of life, memory is a great help in being successful. No doubt about that. I try my best to remember the names of my students who are here in the college and who have graduated also. Remembering someone's name and calling out his or her name is an act of love and great help in keeping discipline in a classroom. It is said, if we name them, we tame them. So with these words of introduction and stressing on the importance of memory, I would like to welcome and introduce the resource person of the day, Rotarian Anand Kasibatla, who is a Limca record holder for memory with over 24 years of training experience. He is an international speaker, trainer, and an author who has delivered his workshops in 9 countries. He is an expert on the how-to strategies for learning and memorizing for academics. He has conducted his workshops over 130 schools in Malaysia when he was residing there. He has helped numerous students to excel in academics effortlessly. Apart from helping students, he has also worked with teachers and educators to help their students in learning what they teach. He is an author of How to Become a Top Student, published from Malaysia, and Instant Memory Improvement, published from Singapore. His clientele include major MNCs government organizations, universities, and several educational institutions. He also conducts his training for professionals, business owners, educators, and students at all levels. Once again, a warm welcome to each one of you and wish you a memorable, since it's to do with the memory, so let it become a memorable participation in the webinar and may you all enjoy it. Khuda Hafiz, Jai Xaviers, Jai Bharat. All the best to you, Rotarian Anand.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for inviting me and giving me an opportunity to talk to your students as well. All right, guys. So let's start with a very good evening. And this is Anand Kasibatla. And first of all, I would like to thank everybody for being here. Especially special thanks for Principal Sir and also Ajay for inviting me here. And thank you everybody for being present. So, I really appreciate this because you have not only taken out your time, you have actually given a part of your life to me. So my commitment is that I will try to give you in multiples of what you have spent here in terms of your time and effort. That's my personal commitment, right? So let's move on. And this is a bit of introduction which Father Nishant has already given. So I'll just very quickly skip this. I'm a Limca record holder for memory. And if you Google me, you will find things like this. A mind trainer for the Royal Family of Malaysia, youngest corporate guru, as mentioned by India Today, and man with the most phenomenal memory in India and things like that. These are the books which I have authored, and there's one more book which is coming up. I'll be releasing this book in this month itself. So this is almost complete. And these are some of the companies where I've done my in-house workshops. So just to give an idea, okay, I'm committed to give you maximum result. And when I say maximum result, I really mean it. If you can be, participative, and if you can take notes, and if you'll be here for the next 45 minutes or so, you will actually get a lot of information on how you can take yourself, your memory, your learning to the next level, right? So let's move on. And what I'll be doing is let's try to, decipher this puzzle of memory and see how things work. What things you can do in terms of learning, in terms of focus. That's what we'll be talking about. And what I want you to, my sincere request is to have an open mind for the rest of the session, because there's this very powerful saying which goes something like, the mind is like a parachute, it doesn't work unless it's open. So I'm sure you all have an open mind, and once you have an open mind, you'll be able to basically get the result in a much more better fashion. All right, guys, so let's get started. What I want to do is I want to share a small story before we move on to the session. So here is a small story. So before that, I would like to remind you that you have to participate. Make sure that you have no distractions. If you're running any WhatsApp app or some other apps which in the background, please do stop them, because that not only takes away your bandwidth of the system, it also takes your mental bandwidth, which is much more powerful. So you will be, you will not get distracted when there are not many things in front of you. The next thing I would like to request is please get a pen and paper, keep your pen and paper handy so that, you will have some aha moments probably, then you can note down. I'm not saying that you take the entire notes, but the moment you have a pen and paper handy, you'll be surprised. Your concentration will go to the next level. We're talking about memory, we're talking about focus. So I just want to talk about this for a minute. The moment you have a pen and paper handy, your mind will be thinking, what can I capture? What can I note down? The moment you don't have anything in front of you or just listening, probably it's very easy for the mind to, drift off easily. The mind is always in the, it's just getting attracted to everything. We are living in something what we call as attention economy. Everything in your life is seeking your attention. Maybe the door in front of you, maybe the poster in front of you, maybe if there's a water bottle or a sanitizer in front of you, everything is seeking attention. So it's easy for your mind to get lost in a lot of things. Just by having a pen and paper handy, you'll be able to tame your mind a little bit. So that will help you to see what you can capture. So mind will be in the capturing mode. That will help you in your presentations and in your trainings actually. So let's move on. And here is a small story I would like to share. This is a story about a couple of friends who has hired a rowboat. I'm not talking about a motorboat or a steamboat. I'm talking about something which you see here in the image here, something like this, a rowboat. And these guys have taken this boat and went to a nearby island. And it took them 40 minutes. Those of you who are not speaking, can you please put your mic on mute so that, it will be, the distractions will be on the lower side. Thank you so much. Great. So they have taken this rowboat to a nearby island, and it took them 40 minutes to reach the island. So what happened was they have actually finished their work, and once they finished their work, they want to go back home. They sat back in the boat and started rowing towards the mainland. All right. And normally it should have taken them 45 minutes. Now that day something different happened. 45 minutes, they did not reach. 1 hour, they did not reach. They were rowing 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. They were still rowing and they did not reach the mainland. Something went wrong. Something went wrong for sure. So, of course, because we don't have participants live here, so we can just think of the reasons. But, when I ask this question, a lot of people come up and say maybe they lost the direction, maybe, they got poor coordination or things like that. Yes, all of the things are possible, but that day something funny happened. And what happened was they forgot to untie the rope which was holding them. The boat was still tied to the shore and they kept on rowing, and the things did not work because, they're tied and they did not look back and see what's holding them. Now, what has happened was 4 hours of rowing, tiredness, frustration, they didn't move from their place. Now, why am I even sharing this story? There's a reason. The reason is several times when students do work, a lot of students whom I met, I had an opportunity to talk to at least people from 42 countries. Of course, I did my workshops only in 9 countries, but I have audience from all 42 countries. And I've spoken to a lot of students, and everybody always says, for the kind of effort I have put in, I should have got more result. So that's what the problem is all about. So people put the effort, but they don't get the result simply because they're not saying what is holding them back. So today I would like to give you some concepts, some ideas, which will make sure it will help you to look behind and see what is holding you, and you'll be able to cut them off, and then you'll be able to make a better journey. So that's about the small story here. So let's move on. And this is what I always get when I talk to students. All right. They always come up and say academics is difficult, it's a struggle, they feel upset, hard work, boring, stress, pain, tired, and taxing, and all these kind of negative connotations have been, a lot of students say, and it need not be like that. The thing is, if you're not using a right strategy, if you're not using a right system, probably this is what you will end up in. This is what's happening with a lot of people. So what I would recommend you is to pay attention for the next maybe 40 minutes, and you will get some ideas on how you can basically take yourself to the next level. All right, guys. So this is what I want to share. Every next level of your life will demand a new version of yourself. And now, if you just look at it, this is very, very true. Every next level will demand a new version of yourself. Whatever has got you here is not sufficient to take you there. If you keep on doing the same things, you will keep on getting the same results. So people have different ways of saying the same thing. Typically, the thing is, you should be doing something totally new in order to get a new result. And my dear friends, I want to tell you, new need not mean difficult. Different need not mean difficult. Different is just different. That's it. So let's move on and see what are the things which are required. So I just want to tell you that there are 2 things which are required for getting a better result. So we're talking about, becoming a new version. For becoming a new version, there are 2 things which are required. One is a perception, and the way you look at yourself, the way you look at the world, the way you look at your academics, that need to change. And second one is the way you take action. What you're doing that's going to change the results which you get in your life. One is perception, one is results. Now, perceptions is how you look at the things, and when your perception change, you will start seeing that your result is changing as well. All right, so let's move on. And I want to share this picture. So I don't know, those of you who can chat, so can you actually give your answer on what do you see here on the screen? I think which you can just give an answer. What do you see on the screen? You can just type in the chat box. What do you see on the screen? Okay, we have some answers here. Frog. All right, Frog. Okay, so we got people saying that it's a frog. Absolutely, right? When I've shown this picture in different locations, in different groups, I got different answers. People say it's a frog, people say it's a horse, people say it's looking like a chicken in the supermarket, and everybody is right. Now, why I'm saying everybody is right is because everybody has got their own perspective. There is nothing right, there is nothing wrong, there is nothing called as absolute truth. It's basically how you're looking at it. Now, why I'm saying this is because when they're students, they always come up with they come up and say, hey, you know what, business studies is difficult, mathematics is difficult, chemistry is difficult. Now, it's just a perspective. It is your perspective. If maths is difficult, why are people doing a PhD in maths? It should have been difficult for them as well. If business studies is difficult, now why the people who are dedicating their life to business studies? The thing is, they are seeing something which you are not seeing. So it is your perspective, so it becomes your reality. So what I want to say is your perspective is your reality, and how you see things make an impact. So let me show you another picture of the same image, another perspective. Now, let me ask you here, what do you see here? What do you see here? Okay, so I got the chat box missing. Never mind. Okay, so can I have some answers in the chat box? Do you see the horse now? All right, guys. So there's a horse here, and it's exactly the same picture, but one way, if you see it, it's a horse, and one small shift, it becomes a horse. Let me show you both of them. Now here you go is a frog, and here is a horse. Okay, now why I'm sharing this is a small shift in the way you look at the things can make a huge difference. A small shift can make a huge difference. So let's see, Alt H to H. Okay, so I'm just trying to get my chat box here. All right, so there's my chat box. Fine. Okay, so that's the message is you can do small little things consistently to get a major result. So let's move on, and I want to ask this question: why do we forget? A lot of people have their own reasons on why do people forget. So people come up and say because of concentration, because of not paying attention, not interested. So all these things will come up. But I would like to share a few things which most people sometimes don't think about these things. I just want to share the most important things apart from whatever you're thinking in your mind. So here are a few things I would like to share. Now, the first one is disbelief. Most people have a problem in the memory because they don't believe that they can remember. And disbelief, when you don't believe, what happens is because I don't believe, I don't try. And because I don't try, I don't remember. And I think my memory is bad. So this is how disbelief is impacting you. The second bit I would like to share is disinterest. And I'm sure I don't have to overemphasize this fact. The more interest you have, the more interest, more memory, and less interest you have, less memory. So disinterest is one rule. And third one is called disuse. Disuse typically is, people don't use as much memory as they should be using. So if you can just make sure that these three things or get out of your system then you'll be surprised that your memory will be working fine. Now, basically what's happening is if your memory is not working, maybe disbelief or disinterest or disuse or a combination of two or three of them is making an impact. Without the impact or without the interference of these things, you would not forget things. If you have a memory lapse, these things must be playing a role. So these things are simple attitudinal things. You don't have to do anything to get out of these things. You just simply can kick them out of them, because the moment you're aware of them, you can just pull them out of your system. So these are three things which you have to take care, as in which you have to make sure which don't make an impact in your life. So one big mistake I would like to share, what's happening with students, especially with everybody, but then with students, is that they think that memory is automatic. Now, memory is not automatic, as you would like to share. Now, a lot of people say, oh, just because I'm listening to something, because I'm understanding, because I'm taking notes, I have to remember. My dear friends, it doesn't work like that. Memory doesn't work like that. Memory has to be initiated. You have to actually initiate the process of memory. Now, how do you initiate the process? There's simple ways. Let me share with you how you can initiate the process of memory. That's by using some strategies, and most important thing is using intention. I just want to ask you a question, a quick introspection. I would like to ask you, how many times you have been attending a lot of webinars, a lot of classrooms, you have been reading a lot of stuff, maybe you have been attending some seminars, or or some audio programs or video programs, educational, you must be watching. I just want to ask you this. Think about this. Think about this. How many times did you tell yourself, I want to remember what this guy is talking about. I want to remember what my teacher is talking about. I want to remember what I am reading. Now, what happens is conscious intention is missing several times. People just go sit in the seminar room or just open the book and they just keep reading, expecting that they will remember. Now, unless there is an intention, there's no conscious kickstart of the engine of memory. So intention is what starts your memory. So intention is very important. Now, just intend and see the magic. You'll be surprised. The moment you have an intention, your memory will start working. The next thing is here, you should have a why. Now, why is very, very important for you. Whenever you're wanting to remember, if you have a why, your powers, your concentration, all your abilities will converge into making one activity, and you'll be able to remember things better. So if your why is clear in your mind, your how will be easier. So John C. Maxwell, one of the very popular authors, and he has shared something very, very powerful. I would like to share that here. Find your why and you will find your way. Now this is so beautiful. So if you know your why, you will find a way, and when you find your way, you will be a way without any barriers. Now, if your why is stronger, your way will be clearer. So think about now, when you want to attend a seminar, when you want to read a book, when you want to listen to somebody, the moment you have a why do you want to do that? And if you have a strong answer for that, you will become extremely powerful, because your why is going to design or decide what you're going to capture. So this is about the why part. So two things you have to remember. One is your intention and one is your why. These two things will supercharge your memory. So let me give you a 6-step formula. So please pay attention. This is a 6-step formula which is there for you. I would like to share very quickly the 6-step formula. Now, what most people do is they don't use any formula. The only formula which students use is they open the book, they start reading, and they go by their emotion. If they feel like reading, they read for half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours. Sometimes they'll close the book in 5 minutes or even 10 minutes. All right. So why I'm talking about that is because when you don't have a system, you will literally go by your mind or by your emotion, by your feelings. And what I want to share is, if you're working on your feelings, you will have to feel bad later. So academics cannot work on feelings. It has to be strategy based. So let me give a small strategy on how you can make your studies easier, long lasting, less pressure, more comfortable, faster, which you can retain longer. So all these things will be there by applying a 6-step formula. Each stage will allow you to do something in a much more bigger level. And the 6 steps, I want to tell you, it took me almost 15 years to develop this. Now, I had some 14 steps, then it got down to 8 steps, then I had another steps. Then after experimenting, I finally boiled down to the 6 steps. And the 6 steps are very, very powerful. And please use the 6 steps in the same order, and that will give you a lot of idea on how things will work for you and how you can do things in an effortless manner. So please get your pens and papers ready. And if you have any questions, we'll have a question answer session at the end. So you can note all your questions, and let's get into the 6-step formula. Step number 1. So what I want you to do is follow the steps. Now imagine this to be like a, password for a treasure, or maybe you can think of this as this, the key to some treasure. So you have to do it in the same order. If you're missing something, the key would not work. All right. So this is very, very powerful. Please don't take it light. Try it once. You don't have to even believe me. Don't believe me. It's okay. Absolutely. But absolutely don't believe, but just try it once and you will see the amazing power of this 6-step formulation, which I'm trying to give you. So even before you open the book, you have to do some setup. So let's see what you have to do step by step if you want to get a better result. The first thing, even before you open your book and read, is ask yourself this simple question: how much time do I have now? You have to ask this question to yourself every time you open a book. Before you open the book, you should ask yourself this question. Otherwise, what happens? So this is something like this. So let me give an example. So let's take an example of say Pankaj. I'm just giving an example, imaginary person Pankaj. I'm talking about Pankaj now. So let's say if somebody goes to Pankaj, maybe a teacher, maybe his elder brother or father goes to Pankaj and says, Pankaj, padho, read now. Do you think Pankaj would be very happy to do that? I'm sure he will not be happy, because if somebody comes and tells me, Anant, read now, study now, of course I will not be happy, because it feels like I'm being ordered. So nobody likes to get an order. And some more, it's a worst kind of an order, because it sounds like a never-ending task. Pankaj padho ka matlab kya hai? Pankaj padhte raho. Kab tak? Until you die or until I ask you to stop. That is what it means. We don't have to say the words. But the communication is that you have to keep reading until I say stop or until you die, which is a very, very painful thing. So people, if you just give an instruction to Pankaj saying, Pankaj padho, it doesn't resonate. It don't feel good. So I just want to give an example. If Pankaj is feeling so bad about somebody coming and asking them to read, imagine Pankaj's mind. It's much more powerful, and Pankaj's mind will not even like it. So just imagine this. Imagine this. When Pankaj picks up a book by himself and starts reading, what is he actually doing? He's telling his mind to read. He's telling his mind, hey mind, read. And do you think the mind will like it? Absolutely no. And that's the time the mind will tell you, hey Pankaj, you have not been to school for last 3 days. Maybe you have to do something there. Oh, you purchased apne jo calculator leke aaya tha, usme battery khatam ho gaya, leke aa jao. और यार पानी लेके आओ ना, पानी तो चाहिए हमको, पढ़ने के लिए तो पानी चाहिए. The mind will remind all these kinds of things, and it's very easy to get out of the track, because the mind is typically not interested in reading at any moment, because you want progress but your mind is interested in fun. So now let me give an example. Now if you want to deal with the situation, if you go to Pankaj and say, beta Pankaj 1 घंटा पढ़ो, उसके बाद में जो मर्जी, I'm sure Pankaj will feel it comfortable. He may not be excited and jumping out of joy, but he will not have at least pain. He will not be feeling too bad that he is tied to studies forever. So Pankaj beta 1 घंटा पढ़ो, उसके बाद में जो मर्जी, that's a very comfortable way of saying. The moment you say, decide how much time you have. So it's something like this, typically this. Now the time is 4:30, I will read till 5:30. The time is 2 o'clock, I'll read till 2:30. The time is 6 o'clock, I'll read till 8 o'clock. The moment you have that in your mind, what happens is your mind will get a notification that you just need to read for a while only, and it becomes suddenly comfortable. Just by doing that, it's a soft instruction to the mind. So the moment it's a soft instruction, the resistance will drop, your concentration will go higher. So this step number 1, how much time do I have now? That will help you to bring your concentration up. The second one I would like to share is ask yourself, how much can I read? This is a very, very powerful thing which most people miss out on. I just want to share something. I'm sure most of you have done this. So assuming this is your school book, I'm sure, or your college book, whatever you're studying, your academic book. Now this is what happens with most people. They open the book and they start reading page number 1, page number 2, page number 3, and then they stop, and then they want to see how many pages still left. I'm sure most of you have done that. Now, why people do that? Because the moment you pick up the book, the mind thinks that you want it to read the whole thing. So it is taking the stress of the whole thing when it is reading. So instead of just reading something, I'm sure, आप तो इस book को अभी पूरा book तो नहीं पढ़ सकते आप. How much you can read? Maybe in the half an hour, maybe 10 pages, 15 pages. But देखो अब क्या हो रहा है? जैसे आपने book उठा के पढ़ना शुरू किया, the mind simply believes that you're asking it to read the whole book, and that's the reason why mind हमेशा आपको पूछेंगे यार कितना pages बचा है. So this guy Pankaj or yourself, you actually go and see how much pages left, how many pages left, and this will actually add stress to you, because and that's the time the mind will also tell you, यार Pankaj ये तो कुछ भी नहीं है, history तो start ही नहीं हुआ, oh from tomorrow there's exam starting, I have not submitted my homework, all the things will happen. How many times does happen to you that you're maybe studying or doing something on maths, and you get reminded of, oh, I have not done my English homework. Now this is how the mind works, because the moment it gets stressed, it will start jumping here and there. So you got to arrest this by all means. So how it can be done? Just by making one simple thing, and that is decide how much you can read. So you can say, how you decide based on what? Based on the time you have decided. So in the first question, you decide how much time I have. And now the second question is how much I can read. So I have got half an hour. In the half an hour, I'm going to read maybe 5 pages. I got 1.5 hours, I'll read 15 pages. I got 40 minutes, I'll read one chapter. Whatever is it, your comfort level. Make a decision on how much you can read, and that will give a lot of comfort to the mind, because that will make sure that it will not have to take the stress of this 400 pages. It will only worried about the 8 pages. 8 pages is deliverable. 8 pages is readable by the mind, but all this thing is neither doable nor a very pleasurable task. It is something which cannot be done, and it's a pain, right? Just by deciding, you're giving comfort to the mind. When you want to get things done, you have to make sure it is comfortable, right? So that's the second step. The third and second step, what it does, it gives comfort to your mind for reading. When the mind is more comfortable, the concentration will increase, your ability to focus will increase, and that's where the learning will start happening in a more fruitful manner. The third thing, very important, and if you're missing the third thing, you have actually missed the first 2 steps as well. Now, what's the third thing all about? Place a bookmark. Now, I'm not talking about typical bookmark, I'm talking about a future bookmark. A bookmark is used typically for what? It's used to let you know where you have stopped. Now, I'm not talking about a bookmark, I'm talking about a future bookmark. What I mean by future bookmark, we'll paste into the future and we'll see from the first 2 questions, how much time I have, how much I can read. So let's say I've got 45 minutes and I can read 8 pages. I will count off my 8 pages. So this is, let's say this is my 8 pages. So let's say my 8 pages here. So these are my 8 pages. So I will use a bookmark, maybe something like this, a bookmark. Okay, let's use a different color. Let's say this is my bookmark. Okay, of course it's my card, but let's assume that this is a bookmark for a while. So what you want to do is you have to count off whatever things from the first 2 questions and place a bookmark in such a way that it is visible to you from, okay, now it just fell off, so it's okay. Now place a bookmark which is visible to you from the top. From the top, it has to be visible to you. All right, now what's the beauty? The best part which happens is when you start reading, when your mind asks you, how much do I have to read? You will not see all the pages, you will only see until the bookmark. And this will not scare you off. Now, just by placing the bookmark, what happens is your stress level will go down. And when your mind is less stressed, because it's not worrying about all the 600 pages or different subjects, it's only concerned about the 8 or 10 pages you've decided to do in the next 40, 45 minutes, 1 hour, whatever is your time you've decided. So mind will be very comfortable. The stress is taken out. Because the stress is out, your capacity will increase. Please understand, whenever you're going through any negative emotion, it can be stress, it can be frustration, sadness, or fear, you will lose access to yourself. Now here what you're doing is you're taking out the stress away simply by placing a bookmark. Because the stress is down, your efficiency will go higher and you'll be in an absorbing mode. It will make your job easier. So that's step number 3. Step number 4, so it creates stress-free life. And step number 4 is make a preview. Now, let me give you an example. So Friday evening, you're relaxing in your house, and let's say Pankaj comes to you. There's a knock on the door, and assuming that Pankaj is your friend for the last 5, 10, 15 years, whatever your age, he's one of your good friends, let's say. Pankaj comes to your place and you open the door, Pankaj is there, and Pankaj says, "Chalo chalte, let's go." Would you ask where, or would you just follow Pankaj? The answer typically should be, you should ask. You should ask. Even though he's a very good friend of you, you should ask, "Kahan ja rahe bhai?" ये तो पूछना चाहिए आपको. Why? Why to ask this? The reason is, without asking, if you just follow out of simple trust, let me give you a hypothetical situation, what might happen. I'm not saying it will happen all the time. I'm just giving a situation. What if you sit in his car and imagine you are relaxing on a Friday evening, maybe in your shorts and a t-shirt, right? And slippers, and Pankaj says, "Let's go," and you go and sit in the car, and he drives the car directly to a 5-star hotel, and वहाँ पर एक ballroom है, and he takes you there, and जहाँ पे एक wedding reception हो रहा है, function of a wedding reception. Everybody is dressed like a movie star, and you are one person on the planet who walked into there with a t-shirt, shorts, and chappals. How would you feel? I'm sure you would feel like killing Pankaj. आप सोचेंगे यार पहले क्यों नहीं बताया? If you told me about this, I would have been ready for that. I would have come in a suit. I would at least dressed up myself for the occasion. So you feel yourself, you're lost because you don't belong to there. All right, because it was a root shock. Now, why am I even talking about that? Think about this. When you pick up a book randomly and start reading, your mind gets a root shock. Why am I even reading this? There's no pre-notification for the mind that you have to do this. There's no information. How will the mind get ready? The mind may be thinking about the football match. The mind may be thinking about a Netflix movie. The mind may be thinking about having a coffee in a coffee day. But then suddenly you pick up a book and you start reading, the mind will feel itself out of place, and this amounts to cheating because you never told your mind what you want it to do. So without giving an intimation, you cannot give a task just like that. The mind feels very upset, and that's the reason why people always feel sleepy, don't get interest, or all this kind of negative things happen when they read, because the mind is not put on alert about what is coming up. It's a root shock, and the mind will shut down because it don't belong to there. So how do you deviate that? Very simple. Make a quick preview. Now, how do you make a preview? Spend a couple of minutes and read the headings, subheadings, bold, italic, different color text until the bookmark only. Just until the bookmark, and get a quick idea. Preview is not about absorbing your information. Preview is typically about, having an idea. अच्छा क्या होने वाला है? उससे क्या हो जाएगा? Your mind will start set for that. So when your mind is set for that, your interest will be tuned up, your curiosity will be higher, you'll become friendly with the material, and because of all these things, you will be in sync with what you're going to happen. But because you are in sync, your mind feels it comfortable. Because the mind is feeling comfortable, you will be able to read better. So making a preview will make your mind mentally ready to deal with the information. All right. So that will create your interest and curiosity. So this is about the preview part. Now let's talk about the fifth one. Fifth one is now go and read. Now the best part is read now, because you've done some pre-activity. This reading will become faster. This reading will become more meaningful. This reading will become easy, and this will save a lot of time. Now, what most people do, they open the book, they read, they close the book. Life doesn't work like that. Before you open the book, you have to prime your mind what is going to happen, what's going to happen, right? By just doing this, what's going to happen when you sit down and open the book and you start reading, your mind is already available. It all knows what is going to come, and it's already ready for that. So capturing will become easier. So it will be easier, and it will take a lesser time. And the last step is, a lot of people, after they read the book, they close the book. So please don't do that. Close the book. Of course, you close the book, but don't switch activities instantly. Sit down and relax for a couple of minutes. Just see what's happening. You're reading and you close the book. The moment you close the book, the mind is trying to tie in or understand or sink in what you have read, what this guy Pankaj, or maybe for yourself, your example, or in the example of Pankaj, what the Pankaj has read. The mind is trying to consolidate, and what our friend Pankaj is doing is, he says that, "Arey yaar, आधा घंटा पढ़ लिया, samosa तो बनते हैं, 2 घंटा पढ़ लिया, Netflix बनेगा," and this kind of things. They immediately in the reward mode get out of the thing and do something. What happens is the mind will not be able to sum up what it has done, so it's a sheer waste of time. So just imagine how many times it has happened to you that, when you're reading something, you're quite excited because you absorb, you learn everything, and you're very like, okay, good, very good. But then 3 days down the line, you don't remember most of it. Now, why is this happening? Because maybe the sink in did not happen. Now, how can you make it happen? Just for a couple of minutes, close your book and sit down and relax. Don't get into any hyperactivity. Now, this will help you to absorb the information. That's the simplest thing which will happen. So sit down and relax after you close the book, and that will help you to consolidate. So those are the 6 steps. So let me give you, and this helps in absorption. So 6-step process very quickly. First, ask yourself, how much time do I have? Then how much amount of book I can read? Then talk about bookmark, future bookmark, basically. Then you have preview, then you read, and then you relax. And this is one of the most professional ways to go through your studies, and you'll be surprised. Because at each step you will have some ease which you're giving your mind, some comfort, some strategy, some power you're getting yourself. And just by using this process, you will be able to get to the next level. So 6-step process. Please use everything. Don't miss anything in between. This I have been working with over a very long time, but this I've generated like 4 or 5 years ago, but I have been using all these components for a very long time. As I told you, it took me more than 15 years to generate this, and it's very powerful. Try it for yourself. If you get the result, keep using it. And if you don't get the result, of course, you have been using whatever you have been using, go ahead and use that. But my request, my advice, my appeal is use it and try for yourself. You will be amazed. You will thank yourself for using this, because this is very, very, very powerful tool. You can mark my word for that. All right, guys. So this is about the 6-step process. Now, I just want you to look at these 4 primary questions which you have to answer yourself. And if you can take a screenshot of this, take a screenshot. If you want to write them down, write them down. And I want you to have this maybe in your study room, maybe in the place where you see this all the time. And, if you can answer these questions every day, trust me, you will become an unstoppable person for learning, or there'll be no force which can stop you. You have to answer these questions every day, and every day listen to the answers. I want to tell you, you have everything which you want, everything which is required is inside you. You just have to activate. You just have to go and grab them. And how can you do that? By asking right questions. If you can answer these 4 questions on a regular basis, maybe on a daily basis, if you can get answers, state your problem and get answers for this, you'll be surprised. Life is so easy. Of course, getting answers is one thing, and following the answers is more critical. You got to do that. So let me give you the 4 questions. The 4 questions, the first one is, what can I do more? What can I do less? What can I start doing new? And what can I stop doing? 4 very simple questions. So let's say, let me ask you this question. Let's say the point is, how can I get more marks? How to get more marks is, if that is your concern, ask yourself, knowing what you know, what can you do more of? Maybe more of mock tests, maybe more of review, maybe more of taking down summaries. What can I do less? Maybe less of Netflix. What can I do? What can I start doing new? Maybe reviewing at the end of the day. Maybe reviewing at the end of the day. What can I stop doing? Maybe checking WhatsApp messages, or checking your YouTube and all these things in the time of study. So multitasking, you can probably stop. You see, you will get answers just like that, and if you can implement them, you will have power with you. All right. So what can I do more? What can I do less? What can I start doing new? What can I stop doing? These are 4 powerful questions. Please keep answering them, and you will be able to get a lot of idea. And okay, great. All right, guys, so let me clear. Okay, so, all right, guys, thank you. Please do not write on the screen. Of course, now there's nothing to write. It's okay. Let's move on. And all right, so I just want to share this story of the hare and the turtle. Of course, you have already known this. You know this story already, but why I'm talking about this is, I just want to give a new perspective or a new lesson from this. Now, if you just look at the story, everybody says that, okay, slow and steady wins the race. Of course, slow and steady wins the race, but let's look at in terms of focus. When people don't deliver results, when people don't get results, it's probably not because they are not capable. It's probably simply because they are lost. They're lost in their thoughts, they're lost in distractions, they're lost in WhatsApp, they're lost in sleep, they're lost. People who get lost in something will lose the game. So not having focus is what I mean by getting lost. So let me give you some ideas on how you can get focus back. And this is what happens: distraction, distraction, distraction. Everywhere you find distraction. All right. So I just want to share this couple of these people. So these guys don't have distraction ever in their life. I want to share another example. These guys will not have distraction ever in their life. There's no distraction for them. Why? Why? Because their life is at stake. And why people have a problem in focus is simply because in our life, in our day-to-day life, we don't find something life and death. When things are life and death, people will obviously have their focus, obviously have their power on. But then we don't take it seriously. Now, let's say I'm in my chemistry class example, and my chemistry teacher is saying something, and if I'm daydreaming of the new movie which has come up in the theater, my teacher would not definitely kill me. Maybe the maximum thing is, Anand, get out of the class. There's no life and death. So if you're not able to focus, don't ask yourself, why I'm not able to focus. Ask yourself, why I'm not taking this as life and death. If you're a student here, I want to tell you something. Guys, students, please realize 1/3 of your life you're actually putting on your academics. 1/3, at least 1/3 of your life, 8 hours a day you're spending on academics. And if you don't take it seriously, what are you doing? The moment you take it seriously, You'll be surprised. Things will work like magic. Ask yourself why I'm not taking it as a priority. In fact, I don't mind saying more than 50% of your life. 8 hours goes for your sleep. You get 16 hours. Out of the 16 hours, 8 hours to 10 hours, you are either in the college and then the tuition, then your IIT preparation, then whatever you're doing. 8 to 10 hours is a huge time, and people don't take it seriously. And they say, okay, there are no exams, it's okay for me. Boss, it's not about having exams, not exams. Think like a businessman. You're investing your time, or you're getting the return on time invested. That's your question. And if you're not getting the return on time investing, you're wasting a part of your life. Time wasted is life wasted. If you remember, I started with saying, I really appreciate your 45 minutes because you've given me a part of your life. If this was not valuable for you, I will be guilty of wasting a part of your life. If your academics is not helping you, if you're not taking the value out of your time you're spending in your college, you're guilty of wasting 8 hours of your life. That is typically 30% to 50% of your active life, right? So please take things seriously, guys. Let's move. And when the people come distractions, they always blame others. Oh, because of that, because of this, because of that. No, my thing is, okay, somebody making a noise, so stop blaming, guys. Stop blaming. I've been in Kenya for a while. I have learned some very powerful African proverb which goes something like this: if there is no enemy within, the outside enemy can't do much harm. Distractions is not outside, distraction is inside. So stop playing the blame game, take responsibility. And when you say blame, stop blame. Let me give you some ideas. Let me give you a framework. Now I call the framework as blame, BLAME, because that's what people do. Oh, I got distracted because of this, because of that, because of him, because of her. So stop blaming, but use blame, BLAME. Each letter signifies a specific step. So let me quickly share that, and then we can close. So I always say, build your dad. Now, dad is nothing but defense against distraction. Dad is defense against distraction. All right. So this is okay, some technical problem, defense against distraction. So DAD. So how do you build your defense against distraction? Use blame, BLAME. Each letter signifies a specific step which you want to do if you want to take your focus to the next level. So let's see here. Blame. So what does B stand for? B stands for break time. Now, what do you mean by break time? Now, there's something called as attention span of mind. So please honor the attention span of time, and make your study sessions shorter and make them more often. If you're studying for 2 hours, 3 hours, you're not honoring your own capacity. So instead of that, maybe study for 45 minutes, half an hour, maybe 50 minutes, give a small break and then start again, give a small break, then start again. That will help you to have a better focus in life. So break time is very, very powerful. Don't do things continuously because it becomes monotonous, right? So B is break time. L is limit your attention. Now, what I mean by limit your attention? Clear off your desk, clear off your book with desk with the things which you are not reading. Let's say you are reading chemistry. For God's sake, take off the Harry Potter book, sanitizer, water bottle, which are there on the table. I told you already, we are living in an attention-seeking economy. Attention economy. Everything in front of you seeking attention. So the lesser things in front of you, the lesser attention scattered. That means more power for you on plate. So you'll have more attention. So when you read with more attention, of course, you have better focus. So limiting your attention is one good thing which you have to do. So BL. B is break time. L is limit attention. A is active concentration. Active concentration is very, very important. A lot of time people start reading and their mind triggers off somewhere and then go somewhere else, somewhere else, somewhere else. And 3 hours later, they find themselves watching movie and they don't even know why on the planet they're watching movie in the middle of the night when they actually started with reading something online or researching something online. All right, why I'm talking about this active concentration. I've heard people, hear people very fondly say, very with pride, यार मैंने गुड़गांव से नोएडा तक चले ड्राइव किया लेकिन पता ही नहीं चला. What do you mean पता ही नहीं चला? That means people are not paying attention. Someone up there is very happy. This guy must be on drugs or what? I mean, what do you mean by pata hi nahi chala? That means simply we are not paying concentration at what we are doing. Now, what I mean by active concentration is to remind yourself that, hey, I'm studying. The more you remind yourself that you're studying, you'll be able to do better. So active concentration, consciously be aware, and that's where mindfulness comes in. Mindfulness, I'm not talking mindfulness in totality. For now, mindfulness, active concentration go hand in hand. Mindfulness is typically being aware that you're studying. Just that awareness will make sure that you will have a shield of shield from distractions. All right, that will power up your defense for distractions. So BLAM is done, and E is eliminate distractions. Now what I mean by eliminate distractions is eliminate obvious distractions. Now let's say you get distracted by WhatsApp messaging, shut down the WhatsApp, put it on airplane mode. If you're distracted by kids shouting, close the windows. If you're distracted by phone ringing, put it on a WhatsApp mode, put it on airplane mode. If you're distracted by pings coming up in your laptop, now switch off the internet. Now there are some things. If you are distracted by cold air, maybe you set up the temperature. So whatever it takes. So just try to eliminate at least the obvious distractions that will help you to power up yourself. So BLAME, just a quick one. B stands for break time, L for limit attention, A for active concentration, M for mindfulness, E for eliminate distractions. So I just want to have a look at this, and this is very, very simple, very powerful. And if you just look at here, it can be perceived that the train is going inside the tunnel or outside the tunnel. It depends on how you look at it. Now, why I'm sharing this is your mind power is exactly like this. It's always either going up or going down. It is never stable. Whatever you do, the way you're sitting right now, whether using the headset or not, or you relax, is some noise going ahead behind you, or you're checking your WhatsApp, everything you're doing or everything you're not doing is going to impact your focus. Everything is going to impact your focus. So if you don't do anything about it, your focus will go down, because focus is either all the time, mind power is either going up or going down. It is never stable. So if you don't take responsibility, path of least resistance, it will go down and down and down, and you will become very, very bad in terms of memory and focus. But if you simply step up and do something about it, you will be amazed that you will start going up. And the good news is, unlimited coaches, it is going up forever. And for growing also, there is no limit, fortunately. All right, so please take care of that. And these are my coordinates. If you have any questions, you can ask me. You can go onto my Facebook and you can connect with me here. And yeah, this is what I thought I could share with you in this short time. And thank you so much. It's back to Mr. Ajay. So I'm done. So if you have any questions, you can ask. Yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Adi, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Hello. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm very sure you must be having questions from the chat box.
Yeah, I have few questions from the chat box. I will be starting. Yeah, I'll be starting with a question which was asked on YouTube by Anjali Roy. So,
Okay.
sir, you talked about interest. So,
Right.
how could we, inbuilt our interest in something? That is the, the technical part.
Absolutely.
That how do we make things interesting? That was her exact question.
So Anjali, right?
Yeah, Anjali Roy.
Okay, Anjali, and this is not just for Anjali, this is for everybody. So just look at this. Now, why do you lose interest in the first place? Now, that's the most important question. Why do you lose interest? The reason is, okay, forget about academics for a while. That will take the stress off you for a while. Let's talk about Angry Birds game. I'm sure most of you have played something like either Angry Birds, Temple Run. I'm sure you might have played. All right. So let's say, Anjali, you're playing Angry Birds, and your life is good, as in you're enjoying it. Level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, you're enjoying. And there comes, based on your appetite and skill, maybe at level 18 or 19, you get stuck. And the more you're trying, the more difficult it is, and you're not able to break the barrier. And then you say, yeah, it's a stupid, boring game. Let me uninstall this. I'm sure most of you have gone through this, right? Now, why did Angry Birds game, which was very interesting, and you're not even touching water, food, you don't need anything, you just goosify in that, and then you do the things, and suddenly you start losing interest? You start losing interest in anything, including academics, when you don't get results. If you don't get results, you will lose interest. If you're getting interest, if you're getting results, the interest will be always there, and it will be always going higher. Now, coming back to the academics, why people are losing interest is because knowingly or unknowingly, they are not using any system. When you don't use a system, you don't get result. You are going by trial and error. You are going by tukka. Aa gaya to nahi aaya. And most of the time, because you're not using a strategy, you don't get result. And typical thing is, yaar, dekho na mere saath mein kya ho raha hai. I'm working hard, I'm not getting result. I'm working hard, I'm not getting result. Your rational mind will ask you, Anjali, working hard, not getting result, not working hard, not getting result. What is better? Not working hard. And you say, I don't have interest in academics because I'm not getting result. Now by applying the blame thing, or by applying the 6-step formula, what happens is you start getting result. The moment you start getting result, you say, hey, easy. So because you're getting result, you'll be excited and your interest will keep building. And just use some strategy which will help you give result. And another thing I want to share is, please get yourself evidence or acknowledge little wins. Now, people have very grand goals in the mind, and when they do small things, they don't acknowledge. Please acknowledge wins at every time, smaller wins. Now, by acknowledging small wins, what happens is you are consciously aware that you are winning, you are getting result, and that will keep your interest higher. All right, acknowledge small wins and use some strategies that will keep your interest high on, and will keep your interest going higher. I hope that answers your question, Anjali. Thank you so much for the wonderful question. Aditya, you have any more questions?
We have a lot of questions, sir. So I would just
so
request
based on
you
your time,
to.
you can actually.
Also, I would just request you to, a bit shorten your explanations so that we could take more in questions from the people. Otherwise, we have been doing very brilliantly, and there's no point in it.
I understand. Aditya, my take is that if I answer the questions quickly and don't give them the background, they might lose. So it's always better that whatever question we are taking, we solve that. So solving something is totally good. And, I'm available always. So that's my coordinates. You can always get back to me and I will answer the questions. No problem. All right. So yeah, we can take some questions. Aditya, yes.
Okay, so first I'll just request, we have a member from the faculty, which is our Miss Mari De Cruz. She has something to say to you.
Sure.
Over to you, Mari, ma'am.
Thank you, Aditya. Congratulations. It was wonderful listening to you. And really wonderful. I have a question. I want you to take me back to the tortoise and the hare story. How would you connect this to your talk? And second is, sir, I have a personal question. Now, I have a tendency of reading. I'm an avid reader. But when it comes to quoting in the classroom situation, what happens is, there's a muddle in my head. So I rather decide against sharing something because I don't want to make that mistake that whether I'm correct or not. So how do you in my age, I'm 46, how do I work on my memory? I read a lot on internet. That's my passion. How do I bring it back when I really need it? And how do you connect the hare and the tortoise story to what you just said on the blame game? Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for the question. And I should tell you that you're very young because my oldest participant is 85 years old. Okay. So you've got half of your life, exactly 100% of your life to get to that age. So the age is not a criteria. So please don't worry about that. Coming back to the hare and turtle, the thing is, if you just look at the story, what's happening there? The hare, even though it has got the potential to do, it was not able to win, right? The thing is, it was not able to win simply because it got lost. And a lot of students, anybody in life, they don't get results not because they are not capable, they are just lost. Let me give an example, ma'am. So let's say you ask me, Anand, can you please look for Rahul's number in your phone? I say, okay, ma'am, just give me a minute. So I pick up my phone and I was looking for Rahul's number. Then I see a ping, WhatsApp, then it's a beautiful video. I like this video. And then I share it to a few people. And then they send some comment. I got immersed in the chat. And then I don't even know why in the first place I picked up my phone. Because I just got lost. So that's how I was connecting the thing with the focus. So people losing the focus is what happens when they lose the game. It's probably because they lost the focus. Now, coming back to the second question, it is very, very important. And I would like to take this detail because this is going to help everybody. And this is a very, very critical question which you have asked. Thank you so much for that. And many a times what people think is, Memory is all about input, 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 input. So do it 5 times, you will get the thing. So please stay away from that. Memory is not just about input, it's also about output. So I would like to ask a question, ma'am, and of course you can answer it for on behalf of the rest of the faculty and also the students who are watching on YouTube. Ma'am, this is my question for you and everybody. So if I say any failure of memory is typically a failure of recall, would you agree to that, ma'am?
Of course, because I feel I have dumped in a lot of things, and when I come,
it's a recall problem, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now, one simple question, which is a very introspective question for everybody, ma'am, including you, is that what have you done in the last 1 week or 1 month or 6 months or 1 year, whatever timeline you want to put into your past, which you did for consciously practicing recall? The biggest mistake which people do is they don't consciously practice recall. They only consciously dump in, dump in, dump in. I read this, I dump in, I hear this, I dump in, dump in, dump in. I don't see it. So I want to give a very quick takeaway for everybody. Please understand the first recall, please understand this. The first recall is very critical and very difficult. If you're not recalling at the time of learning, you will have a lot of difficulty in recalling whenever you need it. Just let me give an example. So let's say I call Mr. Ajay and say, Mr. Ajay, I want to reach your house. How do I go? So he'll ask, okay, from where? I'm just assuming that he's also in Delhi because I don't know about that place there. So he say, okay, from Saket metro station. Okay, and very simple. From Saket metro station, take a third exit, go straight. Then you get a pink color building, go straight, go right. Then a U-turn, then a goal checker, whatever he says. Okay, he's saying in simple Hindi, English, I understand. Let's say I don't go to his house today, and 10 days later I say, Achar, Ajay ji ke ghar tumhe gaya nahi, chalo chalte hain. So I get off at Saket Metro, and do you think I'll be remembering anything which is shared? The answer is a big no. I'll have to call him again. But once I go there, 3 months later or 6 months later, I will only call to him for whether he's there in the house or not for the directions. Now, how to tie it back for studies? Now, any input which you have done, it should follow with an output. Now, people don't do conscious recall. Unless you practice conscious recall, the memory will never go up. So let me give quick tips on how to do conscious recall. There are 3 things which you can do. One is called as an event recall, and the students can take it as a session recall. That is when you read a book, when you watch a Netflix movie, when you attend a seminar, when you may have a McDonald's meal or whatever. So just once the event is over, just spend a couple of seconds or minute on recalling what has happened. So what you're doing, you are giving a pressure to, not a pressure, exercise to recall. So memory is a process of recall. It's not a process of dumping in. If your recall is good, your memory is good. So what people do is they're spending a lot of time in input. वही quotation हम लोग 5 बार पढ़ेंगे, लेकिन अगर एक बार आप पढ़ के देखेंगे, if you recall, then you know, okay, this is what I'm missing, then you can actually test it out, right? So one is session recall. 2 is the day recall. At the end of the day, just see what has happened. So that will, make your recall muscle stronger. 3 is a random recall. So when you're having a coffee, when you have nothing to do, just sit down and say, okay, let me recollect all my chemistry teachers. Let me recollect my standard 10th classmates' names. Now, just by doing that, what you're doing is you're giving a lot of exercise on recall. So I want to get one thing, everybody, please, and that is recall. If it is worked on, your memory is perfect. There is no problem with your memory. There's a problem of recall. So please give attention to recall. Your memory is already good. I can prove that your memory is good, and I'll give you a task. Try to forget something which you already know. Is it possible?
No.
That's what I want everybody to remember. It is not possible. Now, what is actually happening is you are simply failing to recall. People say, ma'am, mera mind na blank ho gaya hai. Oh, I went to a function, I cannot recall the person's name. Oh, I read this quote, I cannot recall at the right moment. This is what people say. And you know the best part? People will always come and say, जैसे exam hall से बाहर आ गया, answer आ गया. जैसे party खत्म हो गया, घर जा रहा था, और उसका नाम तो प्रभंजन कैसे भूल गया मैं? Oh, this quote I have read so many times, how can I forget that? So this is a common experience. So you have not forgotten anything. You have failed to recall. When you want to work on your memory, the only thing you want to work on is recall, recall, recall. Output is the key. Input is critical, of course. Output is the key. So, ma'am, I hope that answers your question, and I hope that has added value to everybody. And
wonderfully well. Wonderfully well.
Thank you, ma'am.
Very well, very well.
Sure,
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure, ma'am. Ajay,
Well,
Aditya, if you have time, we can take. Otherwise, we can call it a day. I leave it to you. You're the host.
I would be wanting to ask you this question. Do you have time so that we could extend this, to take more
Sure,
questions?
no problem. I'm okay with that. When
All
I'm here,
right.
I'm
So
here.
uh,
Yeah.
we had two questions from Raj and Mohit on Zoom, but we'll be taking it later because
Right.
on YouTube, we are streaming from the third party and we don't know how long it will stream. So we'll take
Right.
this
No, it will
YouTube
stream. Don't
question
worry.
first.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, all right. So Edam Varsi asks, Sir, how much do you think Pomodoro technique is effective?
Yeah. The thing is, all the techniques are effective if you're using it. So it is like this. How can I use the knife in a good manner? Of course, you can use a knife in a good manner or you can use it in a very bad manner. It all depends on the person who is using it. Pomodoro technique says that, hey guys, 20 minutes is what you have to work on, and 20 minutes of zero distraction, 5 minutes of break, 20 minutes of zero distraction, 5 minutes of break. And how you can mess up Pomodoro technique is do 20 minutes zero distraction and watch a movie for 10-15 minutes and come back. All right, then that will not work this way. Okay. So it's typically like when you, okay, if you just remember the last step, if you are using Pomodoro technique, what you should do is before you jump into getting into the next zone, do a short break. That's first part. And before you start off the Pomodoro technique, the second Pomodoro second round, do a quick preview. These two things will align. So Pomodoro technique, preview and stop is the way to go. If you just look for Pomodoro, okay, if you just say कि अच्छा 20 minutes करेंगे काम आज चलेगा नहीं चलेगा 20 minutes करना है छोटा break देना उसमें sum up हो जाएगा. Again when you come back, start with a small review and start your 20 minutes and then small break. That's how things will work. I hope that answers your question. Father, you want to ask something?
Yeah.
Yes, Father, go ahead.
Thank you very much. You have,
Father, your volume is very low.
okay, 1 second.
Sure.
Now, where do I go? Can you hear me better? Is it better?
Yes, Father, perfect.
Oh, okay. The beginning you explained about 6 steps.
Yes, sir.
And I think what you're trying to say is that make as much as possible your mind stress-free.
Absolutely,
Yeah, the more stress-free, the mind is ready to absorb whatever you want.
Exactly.
What happens, your steps you are given is very good. What happens when a person is under stress because of some external circumstances like death, sickness, failure, or there are many love affairs, all kinds of things happen to a person. And there are emotional stress and a person is not able to concentrate, the mind is preoccupied. How would one affect the memory?
No,
This is
Father,
one question.
Sure, Father. Okay, go ahead.
The
If you have
second
another
question, what happened to me today, this morning is, I know an alumnus, I know him quite well, I know his name, but suddenly it doesn't come to me. It doesn't come to me. His name is Kamlesh, but I had to struggle to get it. In fact, I had to call the office assistant to get the name. And before, as I called her, I remember the name. It happens nowadays quite often to me. So these 2 questions I have. Thank you.
Father, you're also very young, so don't worry about the age. Okay, so I'll take the second question first and the first question second. So the second question was why this recall problem is happening. I'll tell you. Normally what happens is everybody has got a limited attention span. All right, so it's a limited attention span. So what's happening? If you're thinking too many things, your attention is scattered and you don't have anything left to process the information. Now, let's say as I'm talking to you, just give an example. I'm talking to you. I'll be thinking, "Arey yaar, mujhe 6 baje meeting hai. Oh, NTPC से पेमेंट नहीं आया. Oh, this proposal वहाँ दिया था क्या हो गया? कोरोना कब खत्म होगा? Oh, 20 seconds से कॉलेज स्टार्ट हो रहा है कि नहीं हो रहा है? And why Donald Trump is behaving like this? If I get all these things in the head, what you are saying, probably I am listening, I'm hearing, but it will not land into my head because I have no process, no capacity, because it's all stressed everywhere. Now, what happens is, now recall problem could happen because of a couple of reasons. One is maybe, as I told you, the recall exercise has not been done on a higher level. That's reason number one. Reason number two is sometimes we also tend to, forget even our own brother's name. You want to introduce somebody and tip of the tongue syndrome. You don't get the name. Now, why that happens is because maybe something major in your life has taken you over. Maybe like the things you're talking about, maybe death, maybe love failure, maybe some important thing, maybe a upcoming meeting, maybe something has taken over your mind, and it is not leaving enough leverage for you to take that space to process that and pull out the information. So that, I hope the question is answered, Father. Okay, now coming back to the first question. Now, how do you still concentrate when you have all these kinds of things? The first thing is be ruthlessly logical. All right, and that is this out of syllabus, but still, Father, you asked, so it actually makes a lot of sense to answer this question, because I'm sure a lot of people are going through the similar thing which you have asked, and I hope that you asked because there are a lot of people are going through that. Okay, so here is my answer for that. The first is, please understand, whatever you cannot change, you have to let it go. So you might have heard that 100 times. I'm also saying the same thing, but I want to add one more thing to it. And that is, let it go gracefully. Whatever you cannot change, let it go gracefully. That will give you some peace, that will give you some capacity, that will release the free, it will make your mind a bit free, because I am not worried, because I cannot undo the thing which has happened. So recently, like June 4th, my dad passed away. So it was pain. But then I can't do anything about it. So I have to let go, as in, it's not that I don't love him. I have a lot of respect, a lot of love for him, but I understand, I came to sense that, okay, that is how the life works. And now that stress is not there. If I'm operating from the stress, I would not be talking like what I'm talking. Right. So one is letting go is the first thing. Second thing is, please, guys, when you're everybody who is on YouTube also, this is an answer for you guys. And that is, if you have some problem coming up or whatever thing, when you go back to your why, if you have your why in place, you'll be surprised that these things will not block your mind. Now, why are you in the college? Why are you reading this chemistry book? Because I want to get a gold medal in chemistry. So some incident happened, some girlfriend or some boyfriend has ditched you. That will not be so much important, because your why is strong. So the more the why is stronger, the bigger the defense against distractions. When it's a defense against distractions, there are two kinds of distractions. One is internal and one is external. So this can actually block. Your intention will block your distractions. Now what people do is, अच्छा मुझे ना पढ़ना है, book open करके पढ़ लिया. Lekin the mind is not ready for that. So the mind will throw out a lot of things in that. So if you have an intention, मुझे ना ये करना है. So the mind will behave, and it will make sure that it will not accept or allow something which is not aligned to what is happening. So that ways you can help yourself in the situation where things are happening. So I think these 2 points will help in your first question.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All the best.
Pleasure for that.
And by the way, heartfelt condolence. You lost your dad. We all grieve with you. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Aditya, we have any questions?
Yeah. So Ashish Kumar on YouTube asked, we often hear that we study in the morning, we can memorize the things easily as compared to studying at night. Is it a myth or a fact?
So there is no wrong time to do a right thing. Okay. So if you're studying properly, it really doesn't matter whether you're studying in the night or morning. But I'll tell you why people say that. In the morning, you have lesser distractions. That's the only thing. Now, everybody's sleeping at 5:30, 6 o'clock, so you don't have a lot of mess going around, and your mind is a bit fresh, so the acceptance may be a bit higher. Having said that, I have no negativity on studying in the evening. So when your defense mechanism is good, when your alignment is good, it doesn't matter when you study, you will get the result.
All right. We have a participant on Zoom, Mohit Sharan. Mohit, you had few questions lined up. Please do ask. Try to sum it up in few minutes itself.
Sure.
Hello, sir.
Hi, Mohit.
Hello. Good evening, sir. So my first question is that how a person can deal with procrastination. Actually, I have a tendency to do things at an 11th hour. And my second question is, a photographic memory is good or bad?
Okay, so procrastination, I think we have to procrastinate answering that because it is totally out of syllabus and it will take a long time maybe for the next event, because it's a science by itself, right? I do have an answer, but I don't want to give a half-baked answer. That will be more harmful than, trying to give a quick fix. So coming back to the second thing, photographic memory, is it good or bad? But let's first understand what is photographic memory in the first place. Now, photographic memory is something like this. So the person who is said to be having photographic memory should be able to look at a sheet of paper, A4 size, where you have about 1,000 random dots, 1,000 random dots placed on it. You should look at it for a while and take this off, take a new sheet of paper and spot those dots. And if you overlap them, they should come in, they should look like the same. Now that is what is called as photographic memory, pixel to pixel. So people loosely use the term photographic memory. So there is nothing like photographic memory. Okay. Photographic memory doesn't exist. So what people think is by hearting is photographic memory. By hearting has nothing. It's most hardest way and the most stupidest thing to do in the planet. So Mohit, I want to take 1 minute and deviate, and of course this will also give an answer for you, and this is for everybody. Guys, for God's sake and your sake, please don't try to just memorize. Just memorizing doesn't help. Please try to learn, read with an intention of learning. Now, why I'm saying memory doesn't work is because if you work on just memorizing, if your intention is just to memorize, you will pay a very high price. And the high price is, every year you will do something which I call as a grand annual mental vomiting. Because memory works by necessity. जैसे आपका necessity खत्म हो गया, आपका खेल खत्म हो जाएगा. Just have a look at it. Like you send a OTP, you get an OTP message, 392116. So 392116. The moment you enter it, your mind is blank because काम हो गया ना उसका. So memory works for because of a necessity. So if your intention is I want to remember, probably you'll remember, probably you'll score well, but once the exam is over, you will be washed out हो जाता पूरा. So please learn, read with an intention of learning. Now, how I differentiate is if you learn, you don't have to remember. If you remember, there's no rule that you have learned it. Now, coming back to Mohit, so I don't think there is anything like photographic memory. So you just have to learn and you recall, and that is what will activate your memory to the next level. I hope that answers your question, Mohit.
All right, sir. I would just, because we have less of the time, I would read all of the questions which revolves around the same topic. You may pick up any and answer. Okay.
Right, sure.
So I'll read all of the questions out there on YouTube.
So it's my memory test for me, huh? Okay,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Kind of.
Go ahead.
Starting with, sir, how we read books interestingly, because in the lockdown, our goal is not clear. Sir, I get bored easily from anything. How to study. So my question is how to control overthinking. So how can we concentrate when someone is making us fool or playing a double game? So I get bored easily from anything. Then there's, anything, can I get a cure about it? And there's a question that, then other questions are all around overthinking problems. So yeah, that's all from the YouTube section.
Great. So I just want to pick up two things. One is boredom and one is overthinking. Right? So now I just want to tell you something about the boredom, and that is, guys, please be okay with boredom. Boredom is there to help you, and if you're not comfortable with boredom, you will have a very heavy penalty to pay. Now, what is boredom all about? Boredom is like, why the boredom is coming in the first place is because, several times what we do is we just keep changing things. We keep always actively engaged. Just look at the pattern which you watch TV. So you're watching TV, then 5 minutes ke baad mein flip. Now what is happening is you are indulging in too many things. And when you're indulging in too many things, and when you're not doing something, and if there is no indulgence, you will experience this boredom. And I'm sure those of the people who are around my age, I am 41 now, you can actually understand, or those who are elder than me can actually see that, when you're in school, when I was in school, I'll tell about myself. When I was in school, I never used the term, I got bored. There was no TV in our house. I got my TV when I was in standard 7. All right. So there was no TV. We were listening to radio. There was no bicycle. There was no telephone. There was no mobile phone. I don't have to talk about it. Right. I was never bored. The reason is there were lesser options. Now, we were using something, seeing something like Krishi Darshan, and I was watching how to rear pigs, what diseases does chicken get, and what feed you have to give for the cows. And that is like 10th time or 15th time. Never got bored. The reason is only two options in life. You want to watch, you don't want to watch. Okay, I watch. So I am not stretching too much. So it's there. Now, if people want to watch a movie today, it's a pain. DDLJ भी चल रहा है, हम आपके कौन चल रहा है, अरे प्रो कबड्डी चल रहा है, ये भी स्टार्ट हो गया, ओ हाँ न्यूज़ आ रहा है, ये भी आ रहा है, वो भी आ रहा है, your mind is stretched too bad. So the thing is, boredom is happening simply because your mind is used to do too many things at the same time. So boredom is one way to calm down yourself. If you're bored, your mind will start evolving. I'm not joking. Please take this seriously. Now, you know what happens is when you get bored, what happens? Your mind will start looking inward. Otherwise, what's happening? You are engaged with something or other, something or other. So your mind is running everywhere. So there is no time for contemplation, no time for reflection. So please don't feel that you got bored. When you get bored, sit down and enjoy that boredom for a while, and your mind power will go to the next level. So that's about the boredom. And overthinking, I would tell you a simple thing. The overthinking can be controlled a bit by simply doing deep breath. Now, deep breath has nothing to do with any religion. So I'm not talking from a religious perspective. I'm talking from the science perspective. So breathing, deep conscious breathing is the most difficult thing to do. Conscious deep breathing. All right. So when you consciously deep breathe, so what happens is you're basically, when you deep breathe that, your focus is on breath, and everything which is there in your head will start clearing off. So all the audio video will just get cleared off and you will feel lighter. And if you see some other research, like if you're doing some analytical problem or, solving a jumble puzzle, if you're not able to get the answer, they say that, it's scientifically, scientifically it's proven that you do single nostril breathing, close one nostril and do breathing. Now that will activate some parts of your brain, because breathing is directly connected to the brain, right? It will activate and your thinking ability will increase. So you can try it out when you get stuck in the jumble or crossword. So simple thing is, one of the things which you can do is do deep breathe, and suddenly you find that the thoughts which are running in the head will take a break. And then you can redesign whatever you want to do. I hope that answers, and thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much. Ajay sir would be asking you a few questions, but before that, there's a last student from the list,
Sure.
and he would be asking you a question.
Sure.
Raj, over to you. You may ask your question.
Raj, you can ask the question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Very good evening, sir.
Good evening, Raj.
Yes, sir. So my question is, how can I bring consistency while preparing for anything, any particular thing, sir?
Okay. So consistency cannot be built in one time. So Rome is not built in one day, right? Okay. So yes, it has to be bit by bit. So people have this big grand idea that, they go to some motivational seminar, they go somewhere and say, yes, from tomorrow, I want to do consistently. Hello, for 41 years, I have not been consistent. From tomorrow, how can I be consistent? All right. So if I have that grand goal, that is the best way to fall flat on nose and fracture myself every single day. So what you got to do is do small steps, So you want to have a consistency of reading for 1 hour, let's say. I'm just going to example. So read for 10 minutes. So reading 10 minutes, no problem, Raj. So read for 10 minutes and you acknowledge that you read for 10 minutes. So for the next 10 days, read for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, which is okay. Then you simply go up, step up. Then you'll be able to read for 20 minutes. So if you go and want to, become a superhero and want to be consistently reading for 2 hours every day, it's not going to work. So small steps and continuous steps will build the consistency and the power to handle it. You also need the power and the capacity. So the mind is not tuned, and how can you even sit down for an hour and do things consistently? Not possible. So it's a matter of training, and it takes a little while. It takes a patience. It takes understanding that it takes time. Wherever you are today, you got here because of 10, 15, 20, 30 years, whatever your age is. So you have to give yourself 10, 15, 20 days at least to get to wherever you want to go to. Because you are consciously working, that becomes more easier. But then you want to become a superhero, things will not work. You can become a superhero by building up slowly, not at one shot. Hope that answers your question, Raj.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sure.
Absolutely,
Sure.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Now, Ajay sir, over to you. And after Ajay sir, we'll move to our vote of thanks.
Sure. And before, I just want to thank everybody on the YouTube. Thank you so much, guys. And I want to thank the faculty members, everybody here on the Zoom, and especially Principal Sir. Thank you so much for your presence. And thanks for giving the opportunity. And Mr. Ajay, wonderful. I mean, I really appreciate. Thanks so much for giving me an opportunity to share, because sharing is learning. So you gave me an opportunity to learn what I'm talking. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah. Back to Mr. Ajay. Mr. Ajay.
I think he is stuck into some network connection.
So I was thinking my network has gone out. Okay, sure. Okay, Mr. Ajay is back.
Yeah, Ajay sir. Okay, he's gone again.
Adi?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're audible. You may continue.
Yeah, Anant.
Yes, sir.
Let's go down to the main. One question for you. How did you started with this journey? How did your journey start?
So it all started with a hobby. I started doing things on a hobby, and then I was a professional magician first, and then learned memory, and then I was doing memory shows. I was displaying the skill of memory, because it's online. I did not have an option to share, but I do a lot of memory skills, memory demonstrations. So it's called a mind show, and I was doing that, and people started asking me, "How did you do that?" I said, "I learned." "Oh, you learned? Can you teach?" I said, "What? Why not?" So I started teaching, and I did teach. In the sense, me, my brother, my dad, everybody was teaching this, and suddenly people started asking, "Oh, how much do you charge for this?" I said, this is interesting. So that has become a profession, and I'm enjoying myself, because I have chosen something which is my passion, my hobby is changed into my profession. And if your hobby is paying you, you're on a holiday for the rest of your life, which I'm on holiday for the last 24 years, and I'm enjoying my life. That's how things work. Yeah.
Very true. Very true. Anant, one person is staying nearby my home. When he came to know that somebody memory expert is coming to my show, right? Then he told me to ask one question, and the question is, to what extent is the fact that practicing your memory and focus would prevent Alzheimer's in later stages of your life?
100% fact. 100% fact. Yeah, because I am not a medical doctor, but I'm sure all the medical doctors who are here, they would acknowledge that if you're doing your brain activity on a daily basis, conscious activity of the brain exercise you're doing, even if it is a very little thing for 5 minutes, that is the surest insurance against Alzheimer's. Yeah. Absolutely.
Anand, thank you very much. It was a wonderful moment with you. I'm very sure our student will prove to do whatever you talked about. That is going to be very useful and very fruitful for our students.
Sure.
Right? And I will talk to my principal sometime when this pandemic era will over. I will invite you in our college for the live demonstration.
Absolutely. Would love that.
Right?
But are you situated in Patna, Anant?
No, I am supposed to be from Gurgaon, but I am currently in Visakhapatnam.
Okay, so all the way have to come to Patna. Okay, we will see. I enjoyed the session, and I think it's very useful. It's a pity that many of not too many people are attending. I think I don't know how many. It would have been very nice if they heard. It's not only for memory; it's for life, as you mentioned. It's part of life. You mentioned that's a very good lesson to learn.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah. Over to Aditya.
Thank you, Father. Just keeping this in notice, there have been over 100 of the people joining us on YouTube, watching this live. Yeah, just wanted to keep this in notice. Now we'll be moving towards the vote of thanks. But before that, I would like to remind everyone on Zoom and YouTube that we are dropping a link of the feedback. You can drop your feedback and avail your certificates of participation. Ishika Raj, over to you for vote of thanks.
Hello, I'm audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, thank you, Aditya. Good evening.
Ishika, we lost your voice. Murphy's Laws in action.
Hello.
Yes, Ishika, you're audible.
Okay, sorry, it's a network issue. Okay, let me start. Good evening to all. I, Ishika, deem it a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this memorable occasion. First of all, I thank the Almighty for making today's webinar a resounding success. First and foremost, I thank our special guest, Mr. Anand, an international speaker, trainer, author, and a Limca Book of Record holder. Despite his busy schedule, has found to grace this occasion. Indeed, this was a very interesting and informative session. I thank our principal, Father Dr. T. Nishant S.J., for his words of encouragement. His able guidance has always encouraged us. I also thank our rector, Father Joseph Thadbanal S.J., and our vice principal, Father Dr. Patil Boris S.J., for his unstinted support of this webinar. My heartfelt thanks to the Director of NSS, Mr. Ajay Kumar, for organizing such a wonderful event. I owe special thanks to all the professors present here. A special thanks to Aditya Sagar for being an active moderator of our webinar. Last but not the least, I thank you, all my lovely listeners, for your cooperation in making this webinar a resounding success. Thank you.
Thank you, Ishika.
Adi, it's over. Adi.
Yes, sir, it's over.
Okay. So
So maybe you can pause the recording or stop the recording on YouTube. Yeah.
We'll stop it. Just I'll just